So with 2 matches to go, Inter, of course, home and hose. They are champions. They are in the Champions League next season, but there still remains just 3 points separating 2nd and 5th going in to the penultimate round of matches this weekend. Well, let's welcome in, shall we, Nicky Bandini, to discuss what played out today and indeed yesterday in a little more detail. Nicky, I feel Juventus is the place to start, given everything that happened after that defeat against Milan. We had Pirlo coming out, obviously criticising his squad, saying this isn't what he was promised, and then rumours within the squad that they weren't happy with some of his training techniques and some of his tactics throughout the season. I suppose the key thing today is that they avoided that Sassuolo-shaped banana skin.
Yeah, it was more than a banana skin, really, Dan. This team, Sassuolo, had the best form guide in all of Serie A. In the last 6 games, I think they dropped 2 points. They were a team that was not a pushover by any stretch. And frankly, the way the game went, it would not have been any sort of shock if Juventus hadn't won. Juventus, as we saw in the highlights just now, gave away a penalty very early on, which Buffon saved. They gave up way more chances in the first half than Sassuolo did. It was one of these games, and look, they're not the first team to go away to De Zerbi Sassuolo and have to play a counter-attacking game, but this was really like 63-64% possession for Sassuolo. You think it's not the Juventus that you imagine them to be anymore. It's not the Juventus you think of as being 9 times Serie A winners. But they got through, they got it done, and they had a lot to thank a certain Gigi Buffon for.
Yeah, exactly. Buffon obviously stepping up and making those big saves. It's interesting you say that this isn't the Juventus that we're used to over the years, but this is how low the bar has been set now, isn't it? Where you win away against Sassuolo. And it is a sigh of relief for Juve fans around the world because they are still very much in the hunt for the Champions League.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier for them, of course. Their next game is against Inter, and then they have the Coppa Italia final where everyone else has a few days off before they come back for the final rounds. But I do think the Buffon story is I don't know, there's something beautiful to it. He came out just a day ago and said, look, this is really it now. I'm going to be leaving Juventus again, and maybe I'll have another club and one last experience, or maybe this is it for my career. But the phrase he used is tolgo il disturbo. He talked about literally taking away the distraction. That's what he wanted to say. I'm not going to be a distraction anymore. Juventus have enough to worry about. And then you see him put in a performance like this and you think, who's a distraction here? Maybe, if anything, Juventus could have used a little bit more Buffon this season than they actually did.
Nicky, you mentioned, of course, Inter at the weekend. How hard are Inter going to try to ruin Juventus' party?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to imagine Antonio Conte not wanting to ruin the party there a little bit. He's got that edge to him. Of course, he's got a lot of affection still for Juventus. It's where he spent most of his playing career. It's where he really propelled himself as a manager into this superstar category of manager, I guess you would call it. But no, he's not someone who's going to go there and roll over lightly. And if you look at how Inter have played since winning the title, they haven't let the bit out from between their teeth at all. In fact, the opposite. It almost feels as if since Inter got across the line, since they made that Scudetto theirs, they're just scoring for fun now. They're just having fun and they're absolutely taking teams part.
It's going to be fascinating to see how that game plays out. And you're also drawn, when you take a look at those final matches, to Atalanta Milan.
Yeah, well, Atalanta actually probably had one of the on paper more complicated games this midweek round as well, because they're playing against Benevento, who, yes, they're 18th in the table. Yes, they've been losing ground, but they are still a team with everything to play for, which at the end of the season is supposed to be what you want to avoid. You want to avoid those teams who need to win, and Benevento needed to win. It was not at all a game that was comfortable for Atalanta until relatively late on. But I think you saw again the quality that they have, and we talked about this at the weekend, Dan. Luis Muriel has scored again. He's just on 22 goals now, and he's only started, I think, 16 games. But Ruslan Malinovsky actually is the guy I'd want to single out at the moment as someone who, in the second half of this season, in the post-Papu Gomez era, has just really raised his game to something, I think, so much more than I thought he had. I think before I would have said, yes, he's a really valuable part of that team. He scores these goals from outside the box. He's one of those players who sometimes you think he's just hitting the ball as hard as he can to see how hard he can hit it, and it works for him. But the last few weeks and months, he's been so much more than that. And I think the subtlety of his assist for the opening goal tonight was such a beauty. It's worth going back and watching again.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.